Hello and welcome, Lynx here. And of course, we are playing Massacre. Another dream is in front of us. Let's see what the dream will try to convey to the main character of ours, so Max. And if he will act on the lessons, maybe. Greeted by my favorite dream, I smirked to myself as I stifled a laugh. The girl pushing me down did the same, then lowered her face, resting her forehead on mine. Neither one of us needed to speak. Anything we wanted to say had already been conveyed countless times before, and I had at long last accepted Celeste's criticism of my nature. I agreed that I needed to change, and to take charge. I needed to become more assertive, a confident strongman capable of protecting the woman he loved. Dream Celeste had nothing more to teach me. So for once the two of us simply enjoyed the other's warmth. We held one another tight and reveled in our mutual joy, content to stay that way all through the night. But before our time together could end, there was still one more thing I needed to ask. Celeste, I have a question. If you wanted a different answer, perhaps you should have worded your question better. When you said that, what did you mean? How should I have worded my question? Celeste closed her eyes and shook her head. You don't need my help with this, Max. There is no great trick to figure it out. Think carefully about what you asked me. I sighed and thought back to the moments before our hunt began in earnest. If I were to leave this village by myself, would you? You said by yourself. Oh boy. You should have asked, like, basically, just, would you live with me? I had failed to finish the sentence. I asked Celeste if she would come with me and... Wait a minute, is that really what I asked? If I were to leave this village by myself. Do you understand now? I nodded confidently as Celeste's smile beamed down at me. Good. I know you aren't good at this kind of thing, so it's important to consider whether your words match your thoughts. What you asked and what you thought you asked. Do you see the difference between the two? I nodded once more. Then I have nothing more to tell you. Goodbye, Max. I'll see you again soon. Just as soon as you open your eyes. Temporarily blinded by the morning light, I shielded my eyes with my arm as they began to adjust. For the first time in what felt like many years, I woke up completely unassisted. I stretched my arms and back while moaning loudly. Perhaps it was because of the late night exercise while hunting for dinner, but I felt extremely well, rested from the moment I awoke. Morning, Max. Rise. Oh. Yeah, you don't need to say it. I got up by myself for once. For you don't sound so lively yourself. Perhaps you're the one who needs a little more rest this morning, Celeste? It's nothing like that. I think I just ate a little too much. You started on breakfast without me? No, that's not what I meant. I think I know what she meant. I think I know. Anyway, we have lots and lots and lots of meat now, so don't hold back. It's got to be about invading the dreams. Right? After last night's haul, we're going to be eating well for months. I guess we did go a little overboard. Who would have thought that a little roast meat would bring in so many monsters? It was probably all of the blood in the air. Paint the plains with the blood of one and 10 more come out to feast. Or should I say fest? We'll definitely kill more than 10 fall. Yeah, you can say that again. Oh well, the hunters will clean up the rest. You think they'll settle for the meat of something that's already dead? I'm sure some of them will. There is no shame in an easy meal, not when the alternative is potentially death. But that's not our problem anyway. There should be only one thing on your mind right now, and that's the fest yet to come. Celeste retreated into the next room and began to prepare to make breakfast. She opened up the icebox in the kitchen filled with the meat of several wolves that we chopped up last night, and pulled out enough food for 2. Celeste then condensed the water in the air in order to fill a metal pot, which she promptly heated with incendiary magic and started to boil our breakfast. I never get tired of watching her cook. She doesn't even know the meaning of the phrase abuse of power. If she can do it with her own mana, she does just that. And for someone with no money, that's a godsend. Infinite ice for the icebox, instant water and fire out at our whim, hot or cold air as the seasons dictate. Even without a cent to my name, as long as I'm living with Celeste, I don't feel bad about my situation in the slightest. Having filled our stomachs, Celeste and I once again headed out into the town early. Or at least that's how it felt. By the time we got outside, the streets were empty, even though the sun was still low in the sky. We also left fairly promptly, so I assumed we were early. However, every so often we would see someone run by, usually carrying either weapons or supplies. We weren't early, we were just the only ones foolish enough to walk around casually in the middle of a hunt. Oh man. I can't believe I forgot what day it is. Of course the streets are empty, the hunters and their kids are outside the village walls. And nobody else is going to be out this early in the morning. Drat! If I realized that, I really would have slept in. Maybe we can still turn around. It's not late to jump back into bed. If you'd offered before we had breakfast, I might have accepted that proposition. But we're up now. We might as well kill some time before class. I guess so. Will you still be having combat training today? I can't imagine none of your classmates would bother showing up. Nah, we never have class on the same day as the hunt. The only class I have today is general studies in the morning. So you mean that out of the 2 of us, only I have afternoon classes? So unfair. I'm definitely skipping class to come pester you. No. You will finish your work for the day in 10 minutes flat anyway, right? I'll go visit you early, so just stay in the library and wait for me. Oh, that doesn't sound so bad. Alright then, Max, consider it a date. Just don't keep me waiting. Faced with an even smaller turnout than usual, Celeste and I were greeted by an empty classroom. A few minutes after we arrived, we were joined by one other person, our teacher. Together the 3 of us waited, but before long we gave up on anyone else showing up. It seems the hunters are overwhelmed by the number of monsters prowling near the village. All of the capable fighters in the village have been summoned. Their children included, and everyone else has been cautioned to stay indoors. I suppose it's only natural that nobody would bother to show up to class. Those bloody thirsty savages will take an excuse that they can to go out killing things. Even if the alternative wasn't classwork, they'd still be out there. You can't really blame them. Hunting with their fathers is probably the closest thing any of them get to family bonding. Besides, right now they're out there protecting the village and collecting food for everyone. I'd hardly call that a bad thing. I guess, I doubt their motives are as pure as you seem to think. Well, no use worrying about what the others are doing. I just hit the desk with my leg. Sorry about that if you heard it. What do you say we get into some monster lore? Yeah, do we have to? Come on, Celeste. Monster lore could be useful. Indeed. Most hunters out there would have a much easier time killing the prey if they bothered to do their homework. Learning a monster's traits and weaknesses can be imperative to a combatant's survival, you know. Fine, I'll listen. She probably knows all of it anyway. Well, Celeste and I sat down as our teacher made his way to the front of the classroom. Ahem. Alright, now before I begin, Max, can you tell me what a monster is and how one is created? Huh? Me? I'm well aware that there is no point in asking Celeste. Oh my god, this is a nightmare. If I was in his shoes right now, nightmare of a lesson. Because constant questions, I bet, from the teacher. Ugh. Celeste smiled smugly and nodded. Okay then. Monsters are regular humans, or animals that have been corrupted by an outside influence, aura of an evil relic, or the blood of a demon. They're kind of like supersized animals, but they are way more vicious, and most of them have extra limbs or other weird characteristics. And we are hunting those things and eating that meat. Is that really a good idea? Correct, so far. For you should know that monsters can also be bred, so not all of them are beings that were corrupted. Some monsters are simply born as such, and this unfortunate fact has helped their numbers to grow exponentially. Now, Max, please explain why monsters are so dangerous. Well, like I said already, monsters are big and vicious, so there is that. More worryingly, monsters have far more mana than regular humans and animals. Although their mana control generally isn't that great, they almost universally know how to use it to attack, and they won't hesitate to expel it all in one burst. Could you elaborate? Yeah, what I mean is the monsters can imbue their attacks with their own corrupted mana, making it lethal to regular humans and monsters. For example, if a wolf was turned to a monster, and that monster then slashed a human with its claw, coated in its own mana. Dude, sounds like hockey. The human would either be corrupted or killed. Naruhodo? For less common, some monsters, and even some humans, use up all of the remaining mana in one go as last-ditch attack. If this burst is successful, a great deal of damage can be done, but if it fails, the attack may backfire, causing the caster to knock themselves out or even die. Very good, Max. Please sit down. I breathed a huge sigh of relief and took my seat. To be honest, a lot of what I understood about mana and its effects on living creatures actually came from my conversations with Celeste, our resident expert. Regardless for where I gleaned the information from, it seemed to be enough to get me a passing grade this time around. Bearing in mind that most hunting around these parts involves various different types of corrupted wolves, today's lesson will focus on them. Now, just like regular wolves. As our lesson gradually came to an end, Celeste and I left the classroom and bid our farewell to the teacher. Given that only Celeste had any classes for the afternoon, we slowly walked to the library together, enjoying the unfamiliar peace of a near-empty town. It's hard to believe this is the same road we usually walk down. Without those hot-blooded teenagers running around, this town is like a completely different place. So much nicer. I suppose they must still be hunting with their parents. Pitiful novices, we took down more prey last night than they all collectively take down all day. You're probably right. I do feel kind of bad for what will happen if one of the monsters breaks through and gets into the village. Then we will exterminate it. Come on, Max, don't worry about what might happen. You have enough to worry about as it is. I do? Like remembering all of the promises you keep making. Hey, now it's just one promise. Even I can remember to pick someone up each day. As those words left my mouth, Celeste and I stopped in front of the library. Peering inside, I couldn't see any of Celeste's classmates, nor could I locate her teacher. Are we too early? I can't see anyone inside. Nah, those slackers are always late. It's cool for our teacher writes up our work for the day ahead of time, so I usually finish up before everyone has even arrived. Talk about overachieving. Should I just wait out here for it to finish? It doesn't sound like you will be long. No, I wouldn't ask you to do that. Go enjoy the peace for a while. I'll probably take at least half an hour going by last lesson's content. Don't stray too far, though. I'll be done before you know it. With those parting words, Celeste and I went our separate ways. I had been granted an afternoon off, or at least half an hour of it, and now was time to make the most of it. Unfortunately, given a short, sudden span of free time, I didn't have any real idea of what to do with myself. Combat training would require the use of dojo, which I couldn't enter while our teacher was likely out hunting. Training my mana control was something I could only do with Celeste present, so that was out. The other hunters would never let me join them. If anything, they'd send me away, saying I was just attracting more monsters. So in the end, although I was told I had half an hour to myself, ultimately I was just waiting for Celeste to finish class for the day. Well, maybe I'll just enjoy the peace like Celeste suggested. It's not often that I can walk around town freely without worrying about those idiots from my combat class or their parents. With that thought in mind, I wandered around town in search of some way to kill time. At first I was alone, not a single other person was on the street. Before long, however, I could see some of the young women and their mothers carrying supplies from their homes, likely to their family members fighting outside the city walls. How nice. Sisters, mothers, daughters, bringing food and medical supplies to their loved ones on the front lines. Meanwhile, the men of the village fight bravely, desperately trying to stop any monsters from attacking their families and friends. What I wouldn't give to know that I could rely on someone like that. I mean, you have someone like that. While most of the girls were running towards the nearest exit, some headed in the opposite direction to gather water or battle supplies. A couple of them could be seen carrying spears over their shoulders, ready to restock their protectors. Damn! If I keep watching like this, there's no way I'll be able to stop myself from heading into battle. Maybe staying out here wasn't such a good idea after all. In order to control myself, I headed back home to wait out the rest of my free time. I couldn't afford to fall asleep, and I didn't have enough time to cook, but I could at least clean up in Celeste's absence. Absent-mindedly, I began to clean up the mess from this morning's breakfast. For Celeste could expertly cook up meat in no time at all. She often failed to clean up the blood and fat until many hours later. Honestly, I found it quite disgusting. Alright, Celeste, let's clean up this mess of yours. First, I'll start with the pot. A bit of water from the well, a scrubbing brush, a strong arm, and it will be clean in no time. After that, I suppose I will... Quickly kill it before it escapes! I'm trying, but... Oh well, get more holy water, we can take this monster down! Just as I began to walk towards the door, panicked voices reached my ear. Despairing their predicament, took no thought at all. A monster had entered the village, and the villagers were fighting it off themselves. Shit, this is exactly what I was afraid of! Just hold tight, everyone, I'll be right there! Abandoning my task, I ran out of the house in a hurry. I didn't bring a weapon with me, not my wooden sword, not a kitchen knife, nothing. I simply ran towards the threat with all of my might, following the frantic screams of my fellow villagers. Don't let this appearance fool you, that thing is clearly almost there. Is the holy water here yet? We can't hold it off forever. The villagers' voices grew louder as I ran through the streets, inching closer and closer to my destination. Please let me make it in time, nobody should have to die just because Celeste and I made such a stupid mistake. If someone else pays the price for my mistake, I turned around the corner and at last I set eyes on a group of villagers. They were all crowding around something on the ground, armed with knives, shovels, pitchforks, and other tools turned into weapons they cut off any means of escape. I ran over to them and pushed through the crowd, ready to fight the monster they had cornered. And that's when I saw it. A human-sized monster with large wings, a tail, and a familiar face. Max! Celeste? What's going on here? The other one's here! Quick, splash him too! Before I could confirm the situation, one of the surrounding villagers splashed me with holy water. I looked back at them in confusion for a moment, then quickly returned focus to Celeste. It didn't work! But that means it's just her. Ignoring the villagers, I ran forward and put myself between them and Celeste. Max, I'm so sorry. I tried, Max. I really tried. Celeste, calm down. What are you talking about? Don't bother her, Max. She's one of them. You're a human, right? Don't let her trick you. Max, the holy water. I took a closer look at Celeste. Scattered across her body were burn marks from where she had been scalded with the holy water. The tail and wings behind her body, appendages I'd never seen before, were growing directly from her body. This appearance was not a hoax. Celeste really was a monster. Celeste, I don't understand. What's going on? What are you... Celeste bit her lip and turned away, then faced me with tear-filled eyes. I'm so sorry, Max. I didn't mean any of this. I thought that if I lived a normal life here, eating just enough to survive, then nobody would mind having me here. I'd hoped that if I was useful, that I didn't get in the way, but could live like an ordinary human, just like anyone else. But I was wrong. I should have known. Seeing how you were being treated, that they wouldn't accept someone who's different. So we really are a monster. I am a succubus. I've been feeding off you regularly since the day I arrived in this village. But it was just enough to keep on living. I never took any more than I needed, and I made absolutely certain to never hurt you. Or at least, not physically. I shielded Celeste from the view of the villagers with my body. Grabbing her shoulder with my hand, I tried to keep her focus on me, not on the weapon-wielding villagers around us. But while I might look and act calm, my mind was going around in circles, trying to make sense of everything. A succubus. Dream invading makes sense now. So I guess I was correct about that. Do you remember? I taught you about my kind once before. Yeah, I remember. They're not regular monsters, they're full-blooded demons who disguise themselves as humans and feed off their lust. But only usually in dreams. I stared at Celeste with wide eyes, and she smiled back while crying. Van, the girl I saw in my dreams? I didn't lie to you, Max. All this time I've been trying to get you to leave this village with me, to find a place where the two of us could live in peace. Not as a demon their prey, or as two orphans who banded together. I didn't want us to just be the same misfits living in a different village. I love you, Max, and I want to live in a village where that isn't a crime. I could feel my own eyes growing watery as Celeste's heartfelt words reached my ears. Although my mind was still full of questions, my feelings were clear. I would not allow the fear-driven villagers to kill my beloved. With only that thought in mind, I stood up and faced the villagers. Max? Don't worry, Celeste. Just stay right there. I'll protect you. The villagers scowled as I spoke. For my conversation with Celeste was too low for them to hear, my words just now reached them loud and clear. Are you serious? That girl is a monster, we will protect her. I knew it. He may be a human, but that monster is definitely controlling him. Nobody is controlling me. If anything, the ones forcing my hand are you people. This girl has done no harm to any of you. Leave her be. Huh? Are you stupid? Like we can ignore a monster living in our village? Right. If she's an evil, then why did the holy water work on her, huh? Holy water affects all the monsters. It doesn't matter if they're evil or not. Are you even listening to yourself? There's no such thing as monster that isn't evil. There is. The proof is right here. I gestured towards Celeste with my hands as I spoke. Maybe she's right. I mean, Sustra's never hurt anyone, right? And we only found out because she agreed to help me move holy water out of storage to ward off the increased number of monsters throughout today. Bah! Think about what you're saying, girl. Celeste has been hurting someone in the village. For a long time now, in fact. Celeste has been hurting someone. Like I believe that. Who could it possibly be? My words were cut short as the one speaking pointed directly at me. You, Max, she's been hurting you. Huh? Don't be absurd. Celeste would never harm me. Maybe not directly, but she's definitely been the cause of all your problems. Think about it, the demonic aura that's always infecting you. Just whose aura do you think that is? We all assumed the portion of the aura was sticking to Celeste, since you two spent so much time together, but it seems it was actually the reverse. No, that's... Even if that's true, you are the ones who have been targeting me and making my life hell. So you're going to blame the victims. Perhaps it's too late for you after all. While we were talking, a few more people arrived, carrying supplies with them. I immediately identified one of the items they were carrying as a pitcher of holy water, ready to be used against Celeste. The small burns on her exposed skin were one thing, but if she was scalded with that much at once, Celeste would be done for. One of the girls distributed the water out to several other villagers. Once they had their share, they advanced forward. Move aside, Max! Let them kill Celeste. Are you kidding me? Of course not gonna happen. I'm gonna protect that girl. Come on. Let's go. I mean... Besides, I played Sakura succubus. I have experience with succubuses. Let's go. I remained stationary as the villagers approached. I held out my arms and blocked their path, refusing to move an inch. Move, Max! I shook my head. Move, you idiot! If you plan on harming Celeste, you're going to have to kill me first. Max! The villagers looked at one another for a moment. Although holy water wouldn't work on me, they all held the knives and the other weapons, whereas I was empty-handed. Don't be stupid. You were outnumbered and unarmed. Let us kill the girl and be on our way. Rather than reply to the woman, I turned towards Celeste. Celeste, can you use any spells? Celeste shook her head. You know what holy water does to demons, Max? Right now I am no stronger than a human. Though her words so clear and concise, Celeste's voice was filled with fear. Celeste's mighty magic power, her greatest source of pride, had been temporarily taken from her. She was completely defenseless. I began to turn back towards the villagers, but as I did, I felt my hand snag on something. I looked back to find Celeste grabbing hold of my hand, staring up at me desperately. Please, Max, don't die for my sake. I've hurt you so much at the end. If you were to die because of me, then even if I survived, I smiled wryly and brushed off Celeste's hand. Max? Celeste, do you remember what you said to me in my dream before? About how much damage I could do if only I let loose for once. I turned back to the villagers with fire running through my veins. My horribly impure, almost corrupted mana searched widely, ready to be released in public for the first time. I'm not holding back this time. If any one of you tries to harm Celeste, I will end your life in a heartbeat. The villagers look at one another nervously, but only for a moment. Armed with variety of weapons and outnumbering me heavily, they stepped forward, brandishing their knives and pitchforks. Damn, I was afraid you'd come to this. Don't say I didn't warn you. As promised, I cut down the villagers in front of me in a split second. My claws and an instinctive manifestation of my ward mana tore through their pathetic weapons like paper and proceeded on to their flesh without pause. One after another I cut them down, blooding my claws as the anger and malice I felt toward my aggressors finally bloomed beautifully. I let out all of my resentment, my angst, all of the negativity they forced upon me on a daily basis. And as I cut through the villagers before me, none of their screams reached my ears. My anger took hold of me completely, turning me into the person I had always feared. Yes, yes, yes! Kill them all, Max! Don't let a single one get away! Even as my overwhelming rage consumed me, I could still feel a presence behind me. Glued to my back was Celeste, who spurred me on as her burns slowly healed. Her desire for retribution overlapped with my own, further feeding my bloodlust as my vision gradually turned red. I could no longer hear anything but Celeste's voice in my ear, nor did I want to. Keep going, Max. You're almost there, we are almost there. And after this we'll move on to those brats who picked on you, and their insolent fathers who enabled them. We'll drown this entire village in a sea of blood,
And at last, we'll be free. Our future begins right here and now, Max. A future where nobody will hurt us or try to get between us ever again. We'll be together forever, and nothing will get in our way ever again.
Sounds good to me. I mean, they deserved it, come on. Blah blah blah, but they treated him like basically disposable trash overall, right? They deserved that. They deserved a counter-attack, basically. Good game. Good game, Zetsubou. I believe this is the second game from Zetsubou that we played. For I do not remember what else did we play. Oh yeah, I was speaking about it, that we played Humanity Must Perish, that's true. And about the fact that I think I do have one other game from them in library? Okay, I either have that one in library, or it's all of them that I have on my wish list, I'm not sure. But I definitely want to sit to actually what you asked me to play, so Sable's Grimoire, when I eventually get this game. If I click continue, will it turn off the game or... Okay, it's not turning off the game. It's not the end, guys. Still something happens. Freed from the shackles of my own conscience, my slaughter of the villagers soon spun out of control. I started off by only killing those who tried to harm Celeste, and I hacked their weapons to pieces, tore them limb from limb, and tried to send a message to the others not to get in our way. But the villagers did not yield, and I was forced to defend myself in a manner which I quickly grew accustomed. Before I knew it, the village was empty. Celeste had flushed out those in hiding and led them straight to me, at which point they inevitably joined the other corpses littering the village. The only ones who remained were those out hunting yet to return. And so we waited. Celeste and I hid ourselves near the entrance through which the hunters had departed, knowing that it was only a matter of time until they returned. Soon they would be back, tired and injured from the battle, in dire need of food, rest, and medical attention. At that moment when each hunter returned alone, if not with a small group of people, we would strike. Celeste and I picked off the hunters one by one, and quickly tore through their ranks. In no time at all, we reduced the population of the village to a mere handful of people. Oh, it's those guys.
Well, what have we here, Max? It looks like you missed a few.
You're right. That was careless of me. I must have mistaken them for monsters and left them alone.
Oh, Max, you know that you weren't mistaken. These three are monsters, and what do we do to monsters?
Celeste asked rhetorically while looking down at the three boys.
Well, boys, no answer. I suppose that's just as well. We wouldn't want to humanize our prey, would we, Max?
There's nothing human about those three.
Well said.
I took a step forward and clenched my closed fist. Now then, who's first? I think the ginger one was the most picking on him, right? I looked from side to side at the petrified boys in front of me. Usually so rowdy and full of life, their vocal cords were frozen as they gazed at Celeste and I in fear. They spent the morning hunting weak monsters, any one of whom could overwhelm the three boys in a heartbeat, if not for their parents' protection. Now bereft of that protection, they've come face to face with a pair of demons. Alright, if there aren't going to be any volunteers. I pointed one of the bloody clawed fingers at my opponent from 3 days ago. Alright, yes man, choose your opponent. Using the same words as our late combat teacher, I told Aura to choose between Celeste and I. The moment I did, Celeste condensed and froze the moisture in the air around her, creating razor-sharp spears of ice and pointing them at Aura. It would seem that the effects of the holy water had well and truly passed. Aura.
Hey?
Choose your opponent, Aura.
No, please. Oh, don't.
Choose, or I will choose for you. Tears were forming in our eyes as he was told to make an impossible choice. Death by evisceration or death by impaling. Whether I disemboweled him with my claw or Celeste drove her spears of ice into his body, the result would be the same. Aura knew this, and so did we. So be it. Faced with Aura's inability to decide, I raised my claw over my head.
Please don't do this. I'm begging you, please.
For the moment, I lowered my claw. Oh, begging for your life now? How pitiful. Where is your pride as a warrior?
Forget pride. I don't want to die. Please, Max, I'll do anything you want, so please.
I smirked as tears streamed down the boy's face. He, once so haughty and confident, Aura was now groveling at my feet, pleading for his life. It's a little late for that, don't you think? I suffered for years at your hands, at the hands of all three of you. Do you really expect me to just forget about all of that and let you go free?
Please, we were just stupid kids. We didn't know what we were doing. It was never anything personal, okay? We just needed an outlet, you know?
Is that right?
It is right, guys?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, exactly, we didn't mean anything by it.
Just let us go, please.
What to do? I turned to Celeste as I feigned difficulty in reaching a decision.
Boy, that is a tough one. I suppose we could let them live.
The three boys all looked up Celeste hopefully. You think so?
Sure, I don't see why not.
Celeste. Oh, thank God. I knew you were a good person. Oh, kind, beautiful, generous.
After all, even if we leave them, they'll be wiped out by the remaining monsters in no time.
Eh?
The three boys went silent as their situation was reaffirmed. Even if we let the boys go free, they were no orphans, living in a village without any adults, surrounded by monsters. They would get eaten in a heartbeat.
You had no intention of letting us go from the beginning, did you? You're both monsters.
Technically I'm a demon. Not that I expect you meatheads to understand the difference. And Max hasn't actually turned yet. Oh, but he's getting close. In a few more years, your holy water might actually have an effect on him. Too bad you won't be around to see.
As Celeste casually mentioned, I was already on the brink of becoming a demon myself. My horribly impure mana made me a prime candidate from the beginning. Were it not for Celeste teaching me how to control my mana, I would have turned long ago. But with the two of us now heading down a path of bloodshed, her training would soon be of little consequence. Alright, I think this has dragged on long enough. Stand and fight, or die while cowering like the pitiful being you are, it makes no difference to me. I approached the three boys, all of whom backed away as I did. They could not retreat any further. They had no chance of escape either, lest they be impaled the second they turned their backs on Celeste. Die fighting, or die cowering, those were the only two choices.
Hey Max, are you really sure you want to do this? You told us that you want to be hero, right? A hero of the people.
I raised an eyebrow as one of the boys tried a different approach.
That's right, you did say that. A hero to humanity who would save us from demonkind, isn't that what you said?
I sighed as I remembered an unfortunate moment from my past. You're right, I did say that.
Right, so don't do the demon's bidding. Sign with us instead and we'll...
It's already far too late for that. When I said that so many years ago, you all made your choice, and now, so have I. I looked down the corpses of the three boys. As the ones responsible for causing me so much grief over the years, their deaths were a given. I had no intention of sparing them, no matter how they pleaded or what they promised. And now that they are all dead, along with all of the others who oppressed me, I felt that finally I could move on. After cleaning ourselves off and reverting to our usual appearances, Celeste and I returned home. Before anything else, we decided to sit down and have something to eat. As expected, we were both hungry after the massacre, so Celeste began to cook up some of the monster meat that we stored in an icebox.
Smell that delicious meat. It should just be a few minutes. Sit tight, Max.
With the same carefree disposition as usual, Celeste trotted around the kitchen and let her magic do the work. With pleasure. It's nice to sit down after a hard day's work. For confirming that, do you even need to eat? You told me before that succubi feed off the energy of humans by coming into the dreams. Is there more to it than that?
So you're paying attention after all. You're right. I don't need to eat in order to survive. Not in the way you do, at least. However,
a mischievous glint appeared in Celeste's eye.
While succubi can feed off the energy of their other living creatures, simply by being in close proximity to them within their dreams, it isn't very effective. Eating food like another creature is a way for us to live on without invading dreams, or to top up when we haven't absorbed enough energy from the others. In order for us to get our full purely through dreams, we need to go a bit further.
Celeste's face started to go red. She licked her lips. Dude, I knew it. And looked at me with glazed eyes.
I meant what I said earlier, Max. I've never entered the dreams of anyone or anything else. It's always been you alone. You lucky bastard! So if you're ready to take the next step, then so am I. I've been ready for a long time, and I've been more than patient, despite how difficult that is for my kind. Both in your dreams and in reality, I'm going to cross that final line and suck out every speck of energy that I can. Whether we stay in this village, just the two of us, or leave search of another human settlement, I'm going to show you what I've been holding back for all of these years. No matter where we go from here, I'm going to give you all of my love, Max, and nobody will ever get between us again.
As it should be. As it should be. Alright. That's all of the CGs as well. Alright, so here I guess we have the faces and so on. It was a good game. As I said earlier when I thought we were at the very end, and let's go. This one, epic. I guess there probably is another ending if we do a different choice. But you know what? I actually don't feel like doing that other choice. I mean, come on, going against Celeste? No way in hell I'm doing that. No, 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 no. Freak that village. Freak that villagers. We are staying with the girl here. Especially since, you know, she's not a succubi, but that would basically go and drain you out of your life immediately, right? She's like waiting patiently for the moment, which is cool. And as she said, she was not invading any other guys. I mean, perfect situation, I would say. Nothing to complain about. Dude, Zetsubou is making good games. Now I feel like with that one they stepped up compared to Humanity Must Perish, even though that one was enjoyable as well. And I wonder if those games that are on Steam, for example, are another step towards a higher level. I think I can assume that they are. Yeah. Anywho, let's end it for today. I'm gonna get some sleep as I need to wake up in like 5 hours. Hope you guys enjoyed, and if not, guys, I hope you enjoyed as well. I wish all of you a wonderful day as always. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already, that would be very much appreciated. And that's it. I'll see you hopefully in the next video. Bye bye!